Hey guys, it's Miss Rothery, and now I want to go over the questions for the story Fish Cheeks. So bear with me. First thing I'd like you to do is make sure you open up the question so you're looking at the same thing that I'm looking at and talking about. Um, okay, so it says number one. How does the narrator's description of the cod in paragraph 3 impact the tone of the passage? So, if you remember, tone is kind of the overall feeling, like whether something kind of has a dark tone or a happy tone or a creepy tone or a, you know, embarrassed, right? So, um, that's what they're asking. And the narrator, if you remember, is the person telling the story. So in this case, it's Amy Tan, the teenager, right? So the first one says she describes it as slimy and pathetic, which contributes to the angry tone of the passage. B, she describes it as slimy with bulging eyes, which contributes to the horrified tone of the passage. C, she describes it as pleading with big bulging eyes, which contributes to the pitying tone of the passage. Or D, she describes it as pleading not to be cooked, which contributes to the mocking tone of the passage. So your choices are, is it angry? Is the tone angry? Is it horrified? Is it pitying, which means feeling sorry for somebody? That would be C. Or D, is it mocking, which means kind of making fun of? So look through those and see which one is the best answer. Okay, number 2. How does the narrator's point of view affect how the events are described in the passage? So the point of view is the the perspective, right? So we're talking about Amy Tan's point of view. Amy Tan is a teenager. So if the mom was telling the story, the mom's point of view may have been like, wow, I'm really excited. I just made this delicious, Christmas dinner. But instead, we have the teenager's point of view. So think about what was her opinion, what was her point of view. So A, she's nervous to have the boy she likes over for Christmas dinner, and so the text focuses entirely on the boy's reactions. B, she's bored with her family's old Chinese traditions and wants to try new modern customs, and this affects how she focuses on being more American. C, she's excited to have the minister's son over for Christmas, and this excitement causes her to criticize every little detail of her mother's cooking. Or D, she's embarrassed by her family's Chinese customs, and this shame influences how she describes the food and her family's behavior. So we basically have she's nervous, and that makes her influences the boy's reaction. She's bored, she's excited, or she's embarrassed. Okay, number 3, part A, really is asking you to figure out the word despair and how it's used in paragraph 5. So reread paragraph 5, and then you have these words: shock, misery, frustration, or disgust. And what I always do is I take the sentence take the sentence that despair is in, which, let's see, paragraph 5 would be, dinner threw me deeper into despair. My relatives licked the ends of their chopsticks and reached across the table, blah, blah, blah. So what I do is take each word and put it into that sentence and see if it would make sense. So the first word is shock. And that would be, dinner threw me deeper into shock. My relatives licked the ends of their chopsticks and reached across the table. Would she be shocked about that behavior? Probably not, right? Because shock would be like, whoa, this is something I've never seen before, or it's totally like, freaking me out. Well, she's not freaked out. She knows what that behavior is like. Okay, so you do that with each of the words and find the one that makes the most sense. Okay, number 4, part B. Which of the following quotes best supports the answer to part A? So, whatever word you decide is the correct word that describes despair, then you choose the quote in number 4 that kind of like backs that up. So you have Robert grunted hello and I pretended he was not worthy of existence. My relatives licked the ends of their chopsticks and reached across the table. I was stunned into silence for the rest of the night, or how much I had suffered during the evening's dinner. That one's a little tricky, I think. So if you're, do your best and we'll talk about it. Okay, number 5, what does paragraph 8 reveal about the narrator's character development? So remember, character development, character is, in this case, the narrator. So that the character is Amy Tan. And her development is how she changes over the course of the story. It's how she's developing. So reread paragraph 8 and then choose the answer that shows how she's changed over the course of the story. So you have, after dinner, she realizes the minister's son is not as friendly as she thought. As an adult, she regrets trying to fit in with other Americans and losing her identity. Years later, she learns to appreciate her family and her Chinese American identity. Or years later, she learns to love her mother's cooking, which she previously hated. Okay? All right, the last one is where you write a little paragraph, and it says, in paragraph 7, Amy's mother says to her, "You want to be the same as American Girl on the outside, but inside you must always be Chinese." How does this quote contribute to the overall meaning of the story? So again, the quote is, "You want to be the same as American girls on the outside, but inside you must always be Chinese." Okay? How does this quote contribute to the overall meaning of the story? So remember, in the story, she really wanted to make a good outward impression to this boy and his family. And she was feeling some certain ways about the way her family was acting. And really, they were just being themselves. They were a Chinese American family, right? So what's mom saying, and how does that contribute to the overall meaning of the story, which is, right? Okay. So give it a try. Miss Reynolds or Miss Teramaso or I will give you some feedback and we'll check up and see how you did with this story. Okay, thanks.